Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We are starting here in just a few seconds. We're a few seconds away from beginning here from the studio. Glad that you all could join us this week from the ranch. My name is Chad Hymas, and I am excited to share with you just a few ideas tonight that have been really just kind of surrounding my mind and surrounding perhaps a lot of people's minds with everything that's happening in our country and in our personal lives and being isolated with the pandemic. And so I just wanted to share a couple of things tonight that might help you get through some of those moments that are hard, that are difficult, deal with some of the stress that is in today's world, whether we like it or not, and share with you some of those I would call them really insignificant principles that have helped me to take an experience of stress or anxiety and turn it into an opportunity. And I think that if I can somehow get that across to you tonight, that it will produce for you the same results that it's produced for me, which have been great results. Welcome to Moments That Matter. If you have not joined us yet on the Facebook app, or Facebook page, I should say, or our app, our mobile app, or Moments That Matter on YouTube, please go there to find more insights, more videos that are directed specifically for that channel. Would like to invite you to go to that. So tonight, I wanted to talk to you about, many of you know, and if you've watched these on Sunday nights, that I am a quadriplegic. So I'm paralyzed on all four limbs, and I don't have my hands. And I had somebody write to me this past week and say, hey, we never knew that you were paralyzed. And I guess maybe I've stayed too close to the camera. Maybe they just thought that I was just sitting down. But I am a quadriplegic, and I am paralyzed. And with that comes some challenges, but also comes awesome opportunity as well. Opportunity to learn from stress and from anxiety of things that I can't necessarily do. And that's probably the first thing I want to approach you with tonight, is that when I focus on things that I cannot do, like the fact that maybe I can't play ball with the kids, or that I can't do a layup, or that I can't ride a horse, or maybe get involved with them branding as they're branding cows. When I focus on the things that I've lost that I can't do, I am miserable, unhappy, I'm not successful, I'm not productive in my daily activities, and that happens to everybody else around me. And so the first thing is to remember that what you do and how you react doesn't just affect you, but it really exudes the kind of person that you are. And so a lot of times I'll take a hard look in the mirror and I'll ask myself this question: are the people around me, are they happy when I'm around, or are they not? I know that's kind of a tough question to ask, right? I mean, that's kind of gutsy. Please feel free to chat on the chat box. I'd love to see some of your comments. Thanks for joining us, Morgan, Christy, Al. Thanks for coming to us. Love to hear you guys' comments on this. So when I tend to focus on the things that I can control, like I have good shoulders and I have a good mind, at least I think I do. My wife thinks that my mind was damaged pretty heavily when I was struck by that bale of hay. More comes to me in that process. In order for me to kind of share what I'm talking about tonight on this outlet, on this channel, on Moments That Matter, I wanted to share with you a story and begin it with a picture. This picture is powerful and carries a lot of credibility, and kind of shares with you my dream. So I never wanted to speak publicly, never wanted to write a book, never wanted to be an author. I've always wanted to do this: raise elk and put them out there in the pasture. And Kelly, you were here this last week. You know exactly what my dream's about. You've been a big part of that, in fact. Debbie, thanks for joining us as well. Look at that pasture. Look close. I love that animal. Look at the green fields, you guys. Check that out. I mean, really, look at that. I love alfalfa. I love making, isn't it kind of cool when you can make something that's not supposed to happen come to fruition? I mean, we live in desert country. We live in ground where there's not a lot of water. So when we can make a field look like that, that is cool. Forget about the animal for a second. Look at that water behind it. Look at the water. Look at all the water lines and the water pressure. I mean, I love seeing sprinklers that are functioning and that are just operating properly to keep those fields green. And as far as that elk's concerned, check that out. Look at that elk. That's a gorgeous animal. I mean, he's got 8 points on the left, 8 points on the right. My dream has always been to raise elk and raise them around the ranch that we live. Speaking of that, I need to just throw in a quick sentiment of gratitude. We just got our first batch of snow today. And so thank God and praise God for that, because we have been so dry and in such a drought that this moisture is going to soak right into the ground, and it's going to help that crop come up in spring of next year, of 2021. So I'm really grateful today for the snow that we've received. And we have got snow that's sticking right to the asphalt. Big deal. Back to the picture. That field isn't green right now. That picture is got white snow all over it. That bull, 8 points on the left, 8 points on the right. He scores just over 400. For those of you that don't know what that means, it means BIG. He's a very, very big bull. And the best part about that bull right there, he's the biggest bull that I've ever raised per his age. So check him out again. He's right. That's right behind our house, right behind the ranch. He scores over 413. So that just means that he's big. He's a big bull, and he's only 3. So guess what I gave him for that being that big and only being 3 years old? Any ideas in the chat? Jeff England joins us. He's such a big supporter and such a big friend of mine and fan. I shouldn't even call him a fan. He's always supporting what I'm doing. So it's good to see Jeff. What did I give him? It's okay, Morgan, you can't stay long. Thanks for joining us. Tyler, you're right. Look at Tyler put in the chat. So Tyler, I gave him girlfriends. 20, and you put that as plural, which is true. And you can do that in Utah. You can have plural girlfriends if you're not a human being. So let's try and clear that up for all of our friends that are watching that are outside of the state of Utah, that we don't believe that you can have multiple girlfriends, but it's okay for animals. That we need to make sure we're very, very clear on. As I've traveled throughout the world, and I tell people that I'm from Utah, they often, you can tell it's just kind of going through their mind. And so I kind of try and clear that up that no, I just have one wife, just one. We have a bunch of kids, 4, but just one wife. And so sometimes that's a hard concept for people outside of Utah to even still grab a hold of, that we don't believe in that in Utah necessarily. With that said, let's move on to what's probably more important. I gave him 25 girlfriends because I need his sons and daughters in the herd. I need to have that. I want to share one more thing that's very, very, I think it's important to share on this channel. I broke my neck about 50 feet behind where he's sitting. So what did a lot of you just do when I said that? When I told you that I broke my neck right behind where he's sitting. A lot of you are looking at that picture and you're thinking to yourself, well, where is it at? I mean, what happened? Where did he get stuck in a hole? Did the bull take him out? Was it water pressure? I mean, when he broke his neck, how did that, what was it? And my point is very, very simple. A lot of times you and I will say, as it pertains to stress and having anxiety, it's kind of not seen, right? Even depression, it's not seen all the time. I mean, sometimes it might be visible, but for the most part, when you and I meet with family, or when we get together with friends at dinner, or when we're with our spouse, those of you that are married, or when we're around other people at school, for the most part, we can put our best face forward or put a better face forward. A lot of times, we can't see that big detrimental, that one thing that could take you out. And that picture is proof of that. You can't see where I broke my neck, and I just told you the exact spot, 50 feet. So please don't always assume that everybody's just doing okay. Don't assume that just because they put great pictures and great photos up on Facebook or Instagram or social media that they're doing okay. I think that assumption and judgment is one of the worst things that we can do, and comparing ourselves to other people. That's a big one. That one's tough. You want anxiety with Chad Hymas? I'll start comparing myself to other people that can do things that I can't. And that is so bad for my mindset, and so bad for my results, and so bad for my wife's results, my kids' results. Remember what I said about being stressed and anxiety and depression. And that doesn't just affect you. That affects everybody else. And I realize that it's a sickness. I get that. But I do think there are some things you can do to help that sickness outside of medication. I'm not against medication. Don't hear that message. I just think there's some things that tonight I can share with you that will help you take some of those challenges that we're facing with, a very, very tough 2020. Everything that's happened with the fires that have been burning, and more of our country is burned down than perhaps ever before. And on top of the natural disasters, we have people that just seem to be butting heads and combating. What can you and I do to be more productive and try and eliminate some of that stress and that anxiety, even that depression, and become more productive perhaps than we ever were before in our lifetime? Let's go back to this. When I woke up from a coma after breaking my neck in that field, my dad told me that I could still be a farmer. Remember I told you my dream? My dream wasn't to be here in the studio with you guys. That wasn't my dream. My dream's always to be a rancher, kind of be a farmer. In fact, I have a lot of people that I idolize where I live. That I love to go out there and drive around in my vehicle and just watch them farm and not necessarily say to myself, man, I wish I could help you, because then I find myself back in that depressing moment. But I go out there to be with them just because I don't want to. If I sit at home or stay in the office, I find myself more depressed. So I want to. Number 3 tonight is to get engaged or to be involved with people. So please remember that. That's why you'll see the video we just posted. Type in RoyalCreekRanches.com. Help me out. Type that in right in the comments. Let's get people that they can look at that. They can see the video that we put up yesterday on me being out on the ranch. Even though I can't get in the tractor with my son, I just love to hang out there with Ace and just watch him. He's digging trenches, just be involved. So Dad came to me in the hospital and he said, son, you can still be a better guide and a better farmer. I can't tell you what I said back to my dad. It'd be probably inappropriate to say on this channel. In fact, it's my channel and I know it'd be inappropriate. But my dad heard my language and he turned around and he walked out of the hospital room. My dad walked out because he couldn't change my thought process. He couldn't change my attitude. He couldn't change my perspective. And so he just walked out of the hospital. I'd like to ask you why. Why do you think my dad walked out of the hospital? It's not because he hates me. It's not because he was mad or angry. He might have been hurt, but I don't think he was angry with me. I've since asked my dad why he left me in that dark moment, and it was dark. When you're in a hospital, unable to breathe on your own, and you can't even hit the call button to get company to come visit you or maybe to help you with something, and I can't move my arms or my legs. At least back then I couldn't move my hands at all. Today I still can't move my hands, but I have some shoulder movement. When you're in a position like that, boy, a dark world gets darker quick. It gets darker real quick. My dad left because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a horse drink. So the next principle tonight is to make yourself be a teachable person, constantly learning. Listen, getting old, that's going to happen to every one of us. Help me type that in the chat tonight. Getting old is constant. Everybody's going to get old. Growth has to be something that you and I have to be intentional about. We have to be intentional about wanting to grow, about wanting to learn, having a desire to learn new skills, think new thoughts, develop new attributes. Just because we did things the same way in the past doesn't mean it has to be the same way that we do them in the future. Just because I taught my kids how to play ball a certain way before my accident doesn't mean it has to be the same way that I teach my kids how to play ball today. Just because I wore clothes, a certain type of clothing before my accident doesn't mean it's the same kind of clothing I have to wear after. Just because I ate certain foods before my accident doesn't mean it's the same foods I have to eat after. I mean, it's okay, and there are several right ways to solve a single problem. So don't maximize your thought process till there's only one way to do things. There are several right ways for me to court my spouse, to hold her hand, to brush her hair. I don't have to brush her hair with a brush. I can brush her hair with a pencil and intertwine it in my thumbs. I can pick up a phone without even picking up the actual phone. It's kind of attached to a string, which then allows me the ability to communicate with somebody. So there are several, here's your next principle. Don't think inside the box. Don't think outside the box. Too many people try that. Just throw the box out the window. Get rid of the box. Inside the box thinking is putting you in the same category or statistic as everybody else. Sorry about that. Statistic. I knew I could say that, right? Throw the box out the window. Just get rid of it altogether and come up with new solutions, new ideas. And if you'll do that, you'll find yourself just creating and scaling your progress and scaling maybe even your business or at least your productivity. Well, I refuse to do that. It's so much easier to be like everybody else, isn't it? It's so much easier to just wait for a bailout, wait for a vaccine to come and solve all of our problems. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is just Chad Hyma speaking, but a bailout never made me completely happy. I'm not saying things like that don't help, but happiness never can. Nobody's ever bailed me out of being paralyzed. I mean, money never, I don't even know that a vaccine is going to help me be a happier person. I just don't want to wait So principle number 6 tonight is to be willing to act with urgency on your impressions, your desires. What are you missing in your life? What should you be doing? What can you be doing? And write that down. And also end it with what are you doing right, so you can recognize some of the good things that you're doing in your life. Well, my dad came back in and he kept saying that I could still be a guide. I asked my dad to just leave it alone. Let's talk about something different. My dad did a good job for 63 days. That's important because that's how long I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 63 days. On day 63, I was released to go home at 5 o'clock at night. 12 hours later, at 5 o'clock in the morning, guess who showed up at my house unannounced and uninvited? It was my dad. He walked into my room, flipped on the light switch. My wife was already up, which means what? She was in on this. This is a conspiracy. I mean, my dad and my wife, they're in on this idea together. I had no idea what was going on. At 5 o'clock in the morning, day 64 now, 64 days after I break my neck, they dress me up in camouflage, and it's not even Halloween. So they put camouflage clothing all over my body, and they take me out to my dad's truck. My dad loads me up in the passenger seat, puts the trach in my neck, the battery pack on the console, and then he loads up my wheelchair. Back then, that's not an easy load. I wasn't in a small manual wheelchair. I was in an electric wheelchair. 2 motors underneath, you guys. 4-wheel drive. Some of you have seen some of those wheelchairs. They got some juice to them, a little bit more power than, I don't know, some of those Chevys that I see driving around the roads out there. But I can't say that too loud because my wife does drive a Chevy Traverse, actually, and so I tease her about that all the time. I just think my four-wheel drive wheelchair is go a lot more places than her Traverse, but that's another story for another day. My dad loads me up in his truck, takes me to that beautiful mountain range in Utah that I wanted to one day own. Elevation is anywhere from 8,000 feet to above the double digits, and there's usually snow year-round. And if you got snow on the caps in Utah, that means you got rivers, creeks, and streams, and trout, lots of trout. And there's water for the elk everywhere, deer everywhere. I mean, elk are running everywhere up there. Deer everywhere. Mountain lion, we have a few too many of them, and bear, a few too many of them too. My dad got me out of the truck. My 2 brothers pulled up behind in their trucks. One brother put a camel bandana on my head, and the other brother poured elk urine on the top. Now you have a better idea. I don't know what you guys are putting up smiley faces for. I don't think that's funny at all. Lane, thanks for typing in the ranch. You got it spelled right too, so thanks. One brother poured elk urine on the top. Now you have a better idea of why I was invited in the first place. What's the reason? No, don't say bait. That's not right. Don't say bait. Don't type that in. That's the wrong answer. You bait fish. You don't bait elk. You can bait bear and sometimes get lucky that you don't bait elk. Elk come in for one reason and one reason only. They call it the rut. Let's just call it mating season. It's probably the most appropriate thing to say on the Sabbath day in the evening on this Moments That Matter channel. They put elk urine on my head. They put me behind a sagebrush blind. And then my dad and my brothers climb up into a 14-foot tree stand. Do you see anything wrong with that picture, or is that just me? It's unbelievable. They started to call in some bulls, and my brother filmed it, and I'm going to show it to you now. You guys got to check this out. But before I show you this clip, let's recap a couple things. The first thing is, you guys all know that I'm not going to stand up and run. I mean, that's not going to happen. You can see that I'm in a chair, and that I'm putting, here it is. There's the wheels right there. I mean, you can see that. I mean, I'm in a wheelchair, so I'm not going to stand up and run. Nancy, we're not hunting. This is not even hunting season. You don't have to be in hunting season to go look for elk, so we're not hunting per se, at least not hunting to kill. How's that? So want to make sure that you're aware that this is not during hunting season. This is totally outside of the season. They just want to get me close to some elk. The second thing that I want you to remember regarding this is that the bull that they call in, this bull, watch how close that bull brushes across my wheelchair. Watch. It's unbelievable. And the third thing is probably the most important, and that's my height. I used to be 6'2", so that's not really a bad height. Good height. Today I'm 4'2". My wife just likes to tell people that I lost a couple of feet. I don't think it's that funny either, but she likes to make fun of my circumstance a little bit. And 4'2", when you're out there in the middle of elk that are in rutting season, makes you accessible. I don't know how to say it any better than that. Just trying to be appropriate. So check this out. Here it is. Watch close, watch, and listen. Listen with intent. Here we go. Listen close. So we're in the aspens and pines. Check that out. Aspens and pines all around us, Austin. Look at this. Lane, Shane, Heather, Jamie, Deborah, Debbie. Look. We got some bugling going on. My dad responds back with a cow call. He responds back, and then I look at the timberline. Look, as soon as I see horns break the timberline, right here, look. I realize he's missing his third on his right, so he's a 6x7 bull. Immediately I see that. He's a very, very nice bull, at least a 340 to 350 class. He's got some small brow tines, but other than that, his royals are good. It's not a bad bull. He's got some good width to him. It's got to be a 340, 350 class bull. Listen to him talk. He's coming right for the scent. And watch how close he gets. Watch. You'll see this. He's marking off his territory. He's marking it off. Watch how close he gets. That's me in the wheelchair right there. Look at that. Look. Notice how quick my family is to help me out. Notice that. I'm never going looking for elk with my family ever again. My dad shakes the tree. The bull's in no hurry to leave until he smells human scent, and he's gone. Let me ask you a question. What's my dad trying to do 12 hours after the doctors say go home? What's my dad's objective? What's my dad's purpose? Come on, you guys, help me out with that. I'm going to switch cameras and go over here a little bit. What's my dad trying to do? So Jamie's right. I do need an electric wheelchair. Angie, holy cow. No, holy elk. Holy elk. That wasn't a cow. That wasn't even. That was an elk, Angie. I mean, what's my dad trying to do? Type it in. What's my dad's purpose? Help me out. So motivated. That's a good response, Matthew. Joni, getting outside of myself. That's a great response. Heather says a reason for me to keep going. Ruth says motivation. Nice job, Ruth. Those are right. Look at the answers you guys are typing in. Check them out. Look at all these answers. Lark says give me a purpose. Austin says change my attitude. Look at what you guys are typing. This is not me. This is you guys coming through with this. Look at this. Change my point of view. And thank you to show me that life can still go on with me, not without me. Look at your responses. Kelly says to feel alive. Kelly, I love that response. I love that, especially from you, because you're one of the most alive people that I've ever met. But Kelly used to be my babysitter when I was a kid, when I probably should have been hers. But we'll just leave it at that. She's adorable. Love her. Look at your answers. The same reasons you guys are typing there today is the same reason that I've come on here tonight. The only difference between those two meetings, or the two meetings I just mentioned, is back then I was in pine trees, and tonight I'm in a studio talking to all you guys via chat and using StreamYard to get to YouTube and to Facebook. That's it. I mean, the message is the same. Here's the problem. Some of you will listen and you'll be teachable. Remember, the first thing we talked about tonight was to be teachable. Remember, lead the horse to water. And some of you are not. And God help you if you're not, because I don't know anybody else that can. And I've been unteachable before. I get it. I understand it. For the next 5 years, I refuse to go look for elk with my dad. Not because I can't. I love what you're saying. Not because I couldn't. And Kelly, I don't want to make you cry. You're a sweetheart. You're easy to make cry. All I have to do is I don't know, mention. I refuse to go look for elk. Not because I couldn't go, but because I chose. I think a lot of our anxiety and stress is self-created. Now you can argue with me, but I'm fine with that. I am. I'm happy to listen, and I'm happy to. I could be wrong, but I think a lot of our own stress, and definitely for me, for Chad, just for myself, I can tell you that I have created in my life, when I have been depressed, I've created that for myself. Whether it's comparing myself to somebody else, or looking at things I've lost, or focusing on the negative that this world has instead of all the beauty and the positive. I just showed you all a piece of heaven on that video. And even after seeing a piece of heaven for the next 5 years, I still chose the negative. Why? Because negative is always an easier route to choose than positive. And you can't beat negativity with negativity. You can only beat negativity with positivity. It doesn't mean that you're always going to win, but you won't be seen by your children, by your grandchildren, by your friends, as the one not trying to make an effort. So if you want to be seen as someone trying to make an effort, try and focus on other people's needs more than your own. Focus on other people. Something changed my behavior after 5 years of not going. In other words, for 5 years I refused to go. Something changed that. And I'm going to show that to you now with a question. Would you all agree or disagree with me that you would do things for others that you won't do for yourself? Yes or no? Would you do something for somebody else that you probably wouldn't do for yourself? Yes or no? Throw it in. Trina, hi. Trina says very true. Angela, thank you so much for joining us. I agree with you. I believe that we would do things for others that we won't do for ourselves. Here's the catch. You can't help other people or do things for other people unless you take care of who first? Yourself. Otherwise, it's called lack of credibility. It's called lack of, I don't know, what's in your credibility account. It's like writing a bad check. Have any of you ever written a bad check before? Don't answer that, by the way. Don't put that on the chat today. You'll look stupid. Diana says all the time. Don't say that, Diana. Don't put that down. It's living a double standard. It's like hypocrisy. It's spending something you don't have. So if I want to give away one of my kidneys to help somebody live, I probably ought to take care of that kidney first. You can't donate. You can't donate blood unless you take care of your own blood first and keep it pure and clean. Remember that. So I'm not asking you to be perfect, folks. Just do the best you can to live a credible life. Do the best you can to live a credible life. My dad called me up and said, son, we're going to go look for elk tomorrow. You haven't gone in 5 years. Will you go? What was my response to that? This one's easy. What was my response? No, I didn't swear. Come on, you guys, keep it clean, Matthew. I didn't swear. I told him I was busy. I mean, how busy could I really be? But that's what I said. I said I was busy. Then my dad said this. I'm going to be taking your boys with me this year, with or without you. Remember what I said about doing things for other people? When my dad told me he was taking my boys, what did I do immediately? I changed my mind. And I said, Dad, what time do you want me ready to go? What time do you want me to be ready? He said, I'll be there at 5 in the morning, just like usual. I said, yes, sir, I'll be ready to go. We got a picture of that day, and I want you guys to see it. Check this out. This is way cool. I've got a lot of pictures because I've been to a lot of places. This picture is my most favorite picture of all time. I've got a lot of pictures. That right there is one of my most favorite pictures. Now look close, look. Look at that picture, look. The first thing that I want you all to see is the four-wheeler. What do you notice about the four-wheeler, Danny? Ange, what do you notice? Shane, help me out. Anita, Diana. Miss Richards, help me out. England, Austin, help me out. What do you notice about the four-wheeler? You're right. It's dirty. I like to keep my four-wheelers clean. What's the message to all of you? I need you to be willing to get dirty for other people in order to get rid of the stress and anxiety in your life. I didn't say get dirty for you. Remember, you said you would do things for others that you won't do for yourself. Getting dirty for other people is simply indicative of finding someone that has a need or a fear or celebrating somebody else's success before your own. That one principle right there has alleviated a lot of the self-destructive stress, anxiety, and depression that I have felt in my life, is trying to find someone else to serve. In fact, maybe that's why COVID has been so hard for me. I've enjoyed, there's something fulfilling about being on a stage and a platform and speaking to other people when you know that you're helping them. And now not being able to travel because people aren't gathering together in their company meetings, or we're not even gathering together in firesides or devotionals or churches very much right now because we're still trying to get rid of this COVID-19. Now I have to learn how to do it at home. So that tells you kind of the life I've been living the last 20 years. I can do it on the road pretty good, But at home, the one place I should be able to do it, with my wife and my children, can I just tell you, I've made some mistakes in the last 6 months. Thank God I've got a forgiving wife and understanding children and an understanding wife as well. Sorry. I have really needed this. And my stress or anxiety or depression has not been more than any of yours. I know that. I just know that when I focus on what I can't do anymore, remember what I said, I'm miserable, I'm unhappy, and I'm unsuccessful. I guess now you know why I'm really enjoying being with you tonight. Even though it's a camera, or I guess 4 cameras, and a bunch of lights, which makes it kind of hard to see your comments, but I can read them pretty good. This picture, get dirty for other people. Look at his boots. Those are sacred. That's the next message. Don't wait to lose something before you hold it sacred. Your health, a relative, a family member, your parents, don't wait to lose them before you let them know how much they mean to you. Hindsight's 20/20. Don't be reactive, be proactive. Hindsight is 20/20. Be a proactive person. Let people know the value that they have in your life. That could be something as simple as sending them off a text message right now that says something like this. Hey there, this is Uncle Chad. You'd apply that to you however it is for you. Just want to let you know that there's a lot of snow out at the ranch today. Thanking God for it right now, just like I'm thanking him for you being in my life. Thanks for all you do to make me want to be a better person. Send the message off. Just make it quick and simple like that. Let that person know the value that they carry in your life. The next time that person's feeling depressed or has anxiety or feeling stress, guess who they know is going to be looking up to them? You are. And that's the greatest medicine of all. The best medicine of all is to find someone else to serve more than yourself. Don't wait to lose something before you hold it sacred. Look at the cowboy boots. Look at his jeans. Those are called Wranglers. That's what we wear on the ranch. That's what real men wear, I think. So if you're not wearing Wranglers right now, probably ought to, gentlemen, go buy a pair. Not on Sunday, but tomorrow you can go buy a pair. And I just love my Wrangler jeans. Look at his jacket, you guys. Look close. Look at his jacket. Wait a second, that's not his. My wife took it out of my gun cabinet. Think about this now. I'm going to tell you, my wife took it out of my gun cabinet, unbeknownst to me that morning. I don't know how she got the combination, but she got it. She told him to wear it, unbeknownst to me. She told my son to wear Daddy's jacket without Daddy knowing, hoping Daddy would see it up on the mountain. I saw it. I realized, I saw it. First thing I saw how big it was. Look at how big that camouflage jacket is. Look at it. It totally is just, it buries him. Look at that. And when I saw that, I realized that I never purchased him his own camouflage. So, guess what I did that day? I went to Cabela's Bass Pro Shop, and I bought my son his own camouflage, amongst some other things. In fact, I didn't realize this, but you can't go to Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop without spending $5,000. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I maxed out credit. I went to debt that day. I had no idea what I was spending that day. I didn't care. I just had to make up for all that lost time. I missed out on 5 years. What's the best part of the picture? Do you see it? This is how we're going to end tonight, so make sure you capitalize on this. Do you see his face? When I saw the smile on his face, I did a couple things. I blew that picture up 12 feet by 12 feet. Covers up the east wall of my office, framed in glass. My son signed it for me. So it's in my office. That's the first place. The second place is I had it plastered all over my luggage because I travel a lot. In fact, if I work, let's say I'm one of you guys and I drive truck. If I drive truck, where's that picture? It's on the dashboard of the truck that I drive. If I wear a hard hat at my work, where's the picture? It's on my hard hat. If I wear a PPE vest, like a fluorescent vest, because I'm out working at a mine site or a manufacturing plant, where's the picture? I promise you it's plastered on the back and the front of my vest. Today, I'm in a studio. I've got the pictures of my kids here on the studio. At the ranch. I've got that picture on the camera here on the front. I've got a picture of all my kids there. That picture is plastered on my computer. How often do I see that photograph amidst the others with my children as well? How often do I see it? All day, every day. I mean, I even have that picture painted on a bus and also on my truck. How often do I see that picture? All the time, all day long. Why must I see that picture all day, every day? As it pertains to stress, anxiety, and depression, why must Chad Hymas see this picture right here all day, every day if I'm in California, or if I'm in New Zealand, or Dubai, or Nashville, or in my office, or maybe up at the ranch just driving around in the truck? Or why must I see that picture all day, every day, all day long, morning till night, sun up till sundown? Why must I see that photograph? Look close, don't miss this. Look at his face. It reminds me of what I robbed. You're right, Heather, his smile. Danny, his joy. Kelly, how happy he is. Look at what I robbed for 5 years, all because I let the anxiety and stress of what I couldn't do, what I focused on. Look what I took away. So the last thing I'm going to share with you is this. Focus on what you have going well for you, even though it might be a little, and don't focus on some of your losses. Don't give your losses a big number. Only give your losses enough of a number to honor that loss by the way you live your life. I know many of you have lost something. Maybe you've lost a spouse. Maybe you've gone through divorce. Maybe you have been ill. Maybe you've gotten COVID. Maybe you've lost somebody due to COVID. Maybe you've lost somebody due to another illness, or maybe a drunk driver. We can go on and on and on with all the things that could justify your stress, your anxiety, your depression. I mean justify it for sure. But when you give that a large number, remember, your countenance is a reflection of those that are around you. They see that and they're impacted by it as well. So only give that which you have lost a value that it deserves in order to honor it. That's how you honor the loss of a relationship, by the way you handle it, by the way you live your life. That's how I honor my paralysis, my pandemic, my crisis. I mean, I guess you could call this COVID. I'm trying to honor it by the way that I live my life. Haven't mastered it. You guys know I've struggled, being at home, but I know what's right, and I'm doing the best I can to make progress. Listen, I want you guys to know that I'm grateful that you joined me tonight. We will be doing these, as we have in the past, every Sunday night, 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 o'clock Eastern. Go to Moments That Matter. Check out all the additional videos that are there that you can't find anywhere else. Moments That Matter on YouTube and on Facebook. Say hi to me. I look at all those myself. My staff will send me information as well. Our team on Monday morning when they get in. I love to respond back. I really appreciate this avenue to be able to share with all of you and to hopefully share what I've learned through some of the challenges that I've experienced, and hope that you can benefit as much as I've benefited from it and learned as well. God bless you guys, and we will see you on our next episode next Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Mountain. Thanks, everybody. Take care and have a great night.